Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Today's session is the first in a four-part series where we'll be exploring various concepts that will help you learn and implement successful security architecture for your organization. In today's session, you will be learning about XDR, Extended Detection and Response, with a deep dive into Microsoft 365 Defender. We will be discussing how this integrated and automated approach to threat detection response across your end user environments, multi-cloud and on-premises infrastructure allows you to stop even the most sophisticated attacks. My name is Hussam Mohsina. I'm the program manager for Microsoft Reactor in Abu Dhabi. Microsoft Reactors are hubs for founders and developers to meet, learn, and connect to local peers, as well as industry-leading ideas and technology from Microsoft partners and the open source community. It's also home to the Microsoft for Startups program. With a diverse mix of hands-on workshops, expert panels, and community events, there's something for everyone. Check out our calendar of events on meetup.com and join our upcoming sessions. This series will be done and brought to you by our very own expert on regional security, Hisham Saad. Hisham is a senior regional cybersecurity technical specialist at Microsoft, focusing on security, threat management, advanced analytics with more than 13 years of IT and cyber security experience. You can connect with him on Twitter and LinkedIn, and I'm gonna share with you these links in the Q&A tab. And during this session, we would love to keep it very interactive with you. So ask as many questions as you want. There is a Q&A tab where you can send these questions, and feel free to engage as much. This session is recorded, so you'll be able to follow along as well. And later on, also come back to the session if you want to review anything. So yeah, just a quick note here. If you want to adjust the playback settings to select the highest quality, that will be the best experience for you during the session. So basically just go to the second icon here at the bottom right, and you can select here the quality. So select the highest quality available to you, and that would give you the best experience during today's session. Again, thank you so much, Hisham, for joining us in this series. We're looking forward to learning more about all these exciting topics with you. I don't want to take longer in this introduction, and I would love to pass the mic to Hisham to take us through this journey.
Thank you, Hussam. Allow me to share my screen here. And please confirm, Hussam, if you are able to see it at your end, please.
Not yet.
All right, let me share the desktop.
Yep.
Thanks, Hussam. So hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Quick introduction. My name is Hisham Saad. I'm part from the cybersecurity technical specialist in Microsoft, covering Europe and Middle East and Africa. So our team are primarily focusing on advanced security analytics, which includes SOC operations, SIM management, digital forensic, advanced hunting. So we can technically help your organization to improve their security postures, to modernize your SOC operations, to protect, detect, respond, and recover against sophisticated attacks and hunting bad guys. So today, as you know, we're going to go into details about Microsoft 365 Defender and XDR. But before I'm going to go into details and deep dive, and I'm going to show you a lot of live demos and walkthrough as well today, because seeing is believing. It's really important to understand what is XDR, what is the value of using an XDR platform or solution in our organization, and what is the difference between XDR and SIM versus SOAR. because there's a lot of confusions happening between security and SOC team. I need to use like a security event management solution, SIM, or a security orchestration and automated response, SOAR, and what's the value of having an XDR, or what we're calling extended detection and response. So let me show you quick details and overview. Let me show you the difference, and then we're going to deep dive into the Microsoft Defender, the XDR platform, and then we're going to go into details about the features, functionality, and I'm going to show you today a lot of different attack stories and case studies, and I showed you live how Microsoft 365 Defender solutions will help you to protect your security postures and organization. So we all know about the antivirus or anti-malwares, AVs, and you might added an endpoint protection platform. There is a lot of amazing solutions in the market. And then you might add on top of it an EDR, extended detection and response, in order not only to cover and having a full coverings as a pre-breach, how about to have a visibility and respond back for a post-breach scenarios. And we do have one of the Microsoft solution stack is Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, if you're familiar with, which is to provide a complete unified endpoint platform, covering the antivirus, the anti-malware, the EPP, the EDR, vulnerability management, etc. But endpoint, it's still one of the main workloads in your environment. And let's call it as a kind of an attack vector. There are different attack vectors that attackers might leverage as an entry point in order to reach out to your organizations for a breach or an incident. So as you can see here, here's a reference in terms of the Gartner. So EDR on endpoint is a one layer. There is a network, there is an identity, there is an applications and data, and there is a kind of a cloud apps or even a gateway. So as you can see that having only a specific unique solution covering the endpoints, it might protect and have visibility for your endpoint assets. But how we can extend the detection and response capability to cover different workloads. But most importantly, not just having a separate solutions or having a unified native platform in order to be covering all of these workloads, but most importantly, how to centralize and normalize data. How I'll be able to normalize the data and events and telemetry coming from all of these underlying products or workloads, adding into a data lake. And then on top of the data lake, how we'll be able to do correlation for the data. And correlation, it means how we'll be able to correlate event to event, alert to events, or alert to alert, or even alert to generate an incident. Because eventually, having a solution that's having the AI and ML capabilities by running a set of a runbooks or an automated playbooks, that will automatically correlate based on the different relations of all of these events alerts. This will end up by generating a high fidelity incidents. And that's the technical real deal of having an extended detection and response platform. So it's providing a unified native capabilities that in having an access to all of these workloads and underlying assets in your organization, from your endpoints to your identity, to your cloud applications, to your data, to your even documents and even emails, and then starting to do such kind of a correlation using an automated set of a playbooks and runbooks, and eventually starting to generate a high fidelity incidents that your SOC team and analyst will leverage in order to investigate and even take an action or respond. This is how XDR as a platform, as a unified security incident detection and response solutions will help your organization, your SOC team, in order to set the focus and prioritize the high fidelity incidents and avoiding and optimizing false positives that might come to you. But the point is, yes, now we have a kind of a quick overview about what are XDR and what are the main prime technical features and capabilities if you're looking for a real XDR solution that can help your SOC team and improve your SOC operations. But why we need actually such kind of an XDR in our organization? Because you might have in the current state right now, you might have a separate solutions, might be protecting your endpoint, protecting your cloud applications, protecting your identity, and even protecting your emails, etc. Because we said there are different attack vectors or workloads in your organization. This might generate having in multiple consoles or portals. So one of the main points of having a unified native XDR platform is trying to avoid having in multiple portals and having a single pane of glass. And this single pane of glass dashboards, it will automatically do the correlation for the alerts queuing, mapping to generating high fidelity incidents as a multi-stage attack, and then providing all of the set of the automations and response capabilities. And this will help you to avoid increasing any signal noise. You might getting alerts queuing encounters, malicious or suspicious encounters on a daily basis, coming from multiple portals, from the portals that's covering your EDR, from the portals that's covering even your email security, from the portals covering your cloud app security as a broker, from the portal covering your identity and domain settings. So imagine having a unified solution that's actually correlating the set of alerts and actually generating a high fidelity incident. This will dramatically reduce the encounters and the signal noise that might be generated coming from a different solutions, because it's a native integrated solution that's running an automated playbooks and correlation in the backend. And this will end up by having a kind of parameters, because having a lack of a coordinated response, how we'll be able to reduce it. The XDR unified platform will help us and help the SOC team in order to overcome the coordinated responses across the parameters. And for sure, providing a reactive resources against attacks and not just a kind of a preventing them. So as you can see here, these are pretty much the main common challenges that we're getting from organizations. They might have a multiple or a separate security solutions covering different workloads, from an endpoint to identity to cloud to data to applications and emails. But before we're going to go into details and show you the Microsoft Defender, what's the capability of 365 Defender, it's really important to highlight the difference here. What is the value of having an XDR versus a SIEM versus a SOAR layer? And as you can see here, we added points. The main key point between an XDR and a SIEM, extended detection and response, is providing depth and optics into the informations and telemetry. From the signals, from the events, from the correlations that's happening underneath all of the specific workloads in your environment, from an endpoint to identity to cloud apps, etc., to emails. So XDR will provide a real bottom-up depth, real-time coordinated protections stack across the native content. However, having a SIEM solution is I need to collate, integrate, and aggregate with data with third-party data sources, not necessarily coming from my stack, from an endpoint, from my cloud applications, from an identity provider I'm using to access my resources, or even coming from my email. It might be integrated and correlated with any third-party data sources with different data points, for the sake of further detection and investigation as well. And we are adding here what are the main considerations that you need to look at in terms of having a SIEM. But how about having a SOAR, Security Orchestration Automated Response Platform or System? XDR automation have to be coming as an out of the box, a real technical XDR solution that having a built-in capability to run a set of an automated runbooks or a playbooks in order to close system, in order to take an action, in order to respond and remediate and recover. However, having a SOAR, it's a more layer in terms of the integrations of other platforms and solutions with ITSM, with other kind of a data source that we need to integrate it, or a multiple system or a component there. So the point which is you're seeing here, the main value of having an XDR is the real understanding of the relations of the underlying data. So having something automatically and technically in the back end using a set of an ML models and a flow based on automation of a runbooks and a playbooks that will be able to take an action for automatic investigation and response capability. All of these, the main key advantages of having an XDR or an extended detection and response solution in your organization. So right now, what's we covered so far? So practically, when you're seeing that how organizations build their own defenses. So as you can see, the red cross icon here is pretty much the attacker. So most of the organizations, they are setting a first line of defense, right, as a defender. But what actually happens in a real life scenario is there is a complete shift in terms of the attack. No one is just an attacking as a bad guy and attacking your front line of defense. So they have different set of different attack vectors. And I'm going to show you a scenarios of a kill chain attack of real examples and cases and incidents that's happening a lot. So the key point before going into details and showing you a set of a kill chain attack touching different attack vectors, not necessarily to be coming from the endpoint as a main entry. It can be an email. It can be even if someone is doing an exfiltrations for a data of your cloud applications. It can be someone is targeting your domain controllers or identity to compromise a high privileged access or an account. So there are multiple approaches or away from a kill chain that attackers might need to penetrate your organization environment. But the key point here that we need to consider by having a solution that I need to provide how to prioritize incidents. Because at every single stage you're seeing here, someone is touching my emails, trying to do like a spear phishing or a phishing email to a couple of users. Someone is trying to harvest a credentials or doing pass hash on the identity. Someone is trying to do lateral movement, moving from a one host to another host to have a spread coverage across the entire organization, maybe targeting a high privileged identity in my organization. So every single kind of a stage is there is a detections, there is an events, there is a telemetry, there is an alerts might be generated coming from all of this layer or vectors. So the point is how the XDR will help us to prioritize a set of an incidents and generated what we're calling the high fidelity incident to avoid the signal noise and the encounters that's coming from all of these integrated solutions in the backend. And most importantly, not just to kind of prioritize incidents, how to provide an automated self-healing by having a built-in automated playbox or runbox that will do automated investigation across different set of an incidents that might be triggered or correlated and respond and recover to the threats automatically without the need to doing a touch on a manual asset. And for sure, from a SOC or from an analyst point of view, we need to have a capability into the XDR platform that's doing all of these goodies by having a layer to create our own custom detection rules and queries. And hence we need to have a provide an advancing hunting module inside the XDR platform. So as you can see here is just a quick example about how attacks are really swifter and across the entire domain and not necessarily coming from a one single entry point, which is might be your endpoint. So you can see it here that an attacker is doing like a password spray. He's sending this one to multiple users inside the organization. And then what's happening is maybe one of the users is trying to access specific an email, doing an exfiltrations in Exchange or any kind of cloud apps. And next step, what's happening is he might create a forwarding ETR exchange transport rule for exfiltrating because he would like to target more users and mailboxes in this specific organization. And then next, what's happening is there is an internal phish, exfiltration happening on different kind of cloud apps, maybe OneDrive, doing reconnaissance activity here in Exchange. And you know what? He might reach out to one of the victim or end user host who might open such kind of a phishing email. He might inject his malware or a 0-day inside the host on the supply chain. He might doing a credential harvesting or stealing the credentials for the user, doing a lateral movement inside the entire organization as a kind of an admin, and maybe like injecting a malicious OS applications into their cloud apps. So as you can see what's happening here, there is a different kind of multiple entry vectors or a way that attackers they can do it right now in order to targeting a compromise a specific organization or an entity. And as you can see, the mappings that we're adding here from Microsoft, how the Microsoft security stack and Defender will help us as an organization in order to have a visibility across every single work stream or underlining. So we have the products that's covering even your email, having a layer that will be able to detect such kind of an email security gateway, including cloud applications. Having a solution that's mainly designed and integrated for your endpoints. Whatever it's running, a Windows, Mac, Linux, or even mobile for iOS and Android, it's a complete agnostic platform and agnostic domain. With having a behavior analytics entity solution to protect your identity, for what calling the Defender for identity. Having a layer for a CASB solution for your cloud applications using your organization. So as you can see, you're covering endpoints, having network, having identity, having emails, cloud applications, and data. How this Microsoft Defender stack is actually being integrated in the back end and providing a layer, an end-to-end and XDR layer, that they're giving you visibility and correlates the alerts, the events, and generating high fidelity incidents that will save time for you as a SOC analyst team. And we're trying to improve and reduce any false positive or a signal noise. And here's what you can see, that the Microsoft Defender XDR is a complete cross-domain protection layer. It's a fully integrated out of the box. You don't need to write any set of an APIs or a codes or doing a streaming lines or doing another layer of data normalization or a schema at your end, which just might not work perfectly as having a native integrated solution out of the box. That's not only sharing the signals, it's sharing the events and the telemetry and starting to doing correlation across different relation mapping data scheme. So you can see that, let's take at the Microsoft 365 Defender, you have the solution protecting your endpoints integrated with your identities, integrating with your apps, emails, mailboxes, documents, and cloud apps. And it's not only all this layer, you have a full end-to-end integration with your infrastructure stack, covering your database, containers, VMs, Kubernetes, networks, OT, and not only an IT assets, as well as application services and gateway. And that's what we're calling the Microsoft Defender by having an XDR platform, which will show to you more scenarios and more live demos in the coming slides. But before going into the details and case studies, I'll show you a case study showing you a couple of walkthrough slides in order to set the ground with you. And then I'm showing you a live demo and end-to-end about how it works, the functionalities, the details, how as a SOC, as an analyst will be able to investigate, how will be able to respond, how will be able to see the status on the update. So as you can see here that if you look at the Microsoft 365 Defender layer, which is having the full integration across the identity, the endpoints, cloud apps, and data, covering all of these underlying products. And how all of these workloads have a full automated cross-domain security. It means I don't need to run a set of an API or correlation or integration from my end. We are providing a complete set of an API management library for covering the incidents, for covering even the advanced hunting capability across the entire stack. Endpoints, identity, cloud apps, and user data. All of that is a single pane of glass dashboard. And if I click here, if you do remember on the first slides, showing what Gartner's and Forrester and IDC, etc., mentioning about the XDR, the forecast about that's one of the top security projects for 2020, 2021 words. And how XDR as a solution, as a platform will help you as a SOC team to improve your security postures is having a one portal. It's a one console. You don't have multiple consoles anymore. It's a one console unified dashboard that having all of the integrated and correlated entities and events, as well as alerts and incidents, as well as providing the automated playbooks, set of an workflow automated runbooks that doing automatic investigation in addition to taking an action and response, which is I'll show you live. Full visibility into adversaries, ABTs, campaigns, outbreaks, not only covering one layer related to your endpoint. Remember, you do have other aspects related to emails, adding later identity, adding a cloud applications. So how to provide a full cross threat analytics platform by showing more details assessment to what's happening in my organization, the impact of having such kind of vulnerabilities or an outbreak or adversations or even a campaigns in my organization, and how to mitigate and to respond, whatever it's an endpoint, whatever it's an email, etc. And for sure, providing a cross-domain hunting, advanced hunting module that analysts and SOC team and RR, they can create their own detections rules. And not only providing a detection or hunting queries across the entire state for an endpoint, for an email, for an identity, for a cloud applications and data, but most importantly, how they can create a detection rule or convert the detection rule to be actually taking an action running on a frequency or a set. So not only for doing a detections or having an alerting or alarming capability, but most importantly, how to provide a response and taking in actions going to the identity, to the endpoint, or even to the application level. And as we said, all of the entire stack from the Microsoft 365 Defender is having a rich set of an APIs, application connectors, and full on API management library. If you'd like to extend the capability, if you'd like to integrate with another solutions, maybe an ITSM in place, ticketing system, queuing system, etc. So here to summarize on what we mentioned about the Microsoft 365 Defender, the Microsoft Defender and XDR. If you look at the 365 Defender here covering all of these underlying workloads, these are the main values that we'll be able to get by having this end-to-end integrated platform in a single pane of glass console. But most importantly here, that based on a kind of a statistics and a survey, that Microsoft 365 Defender is actually can improve and protect more than 70% to prevent threats that might come to your organization. Because remember, the solution as an XDR is not primarily designed for a kind of a post detection. You have a pre-detection and protect and prevent capability coming across all of the entire underlying products. So based on this latest updates that we're seeing, survey 70% more increase that Microsoft 365 Defender stack is prevent threats and sophisticated attacks for organization. And more than 80% of the signal noise and the alerts reuse has been reduced into the SOC queue by, remember, the out-of-the-box inline correlation by generating a multi-stage attack or high-fidelity incident. This saves a lot of signal noise queue coming from encounters, from suspicious malicious encounters, or even in alerts coming to the SOC team. And more than 75% of the work items that has been resolved. And I'm going to show you in details a scenario as a kind of a case study, and then I'll show you live how an average set of encounters coming to SOC team or the analyst on a daily basis on an average, how the Microsoft 365 Defender will help to reduce such kind of an encounters and generating a correlated alerts, and then how the solution will actually correlate the alerts to a multi-stage incident, and how the automatic investigations and remediation response, the AIR capability, by having a built-in playbox, will play a vital role by reducing such kind of high-fidelity incidents by taking an automatic investigation and action to reduce the high-fidelity incidents into specific number, so the SOC analysts will spend time and focus on these high-fidelity assets. With that, what's happening is, as promised, I'm going to show you two scenarios. I'm going to show you like a case study walkthrough, because I want to make sure that I'll go from one screen to another, showing you the entire end-to-end scenario as a SOC analyst doing using the Microsoft 365 Defender. And then I'm going to switch and show you a live demo about what exactly happening, access to the portal, how your SOC analyst team will be able to use the functionality and doing further investigation and check the status into the dashboard. So let's start with having the case study. So as you can see here, let me show you an attack story. And let me show the laser pointer here. So our attack is actually started by someone, an attacker, is doing a spear phishing by sending an email. And this email is having kind of a malicious link. And it's sending to multiple users inside this organization. Let's call it contoso.com organization. So you're doing like a spear phishing email sending to star@contoso.com in order to make sure there are wider recipients might receive such kind of a phishing email. One of the main normal users, standard user, his name is Polly. So Polly starting to open this email, so it managed, or it sound that this specific phishing email managed to bypass the current email security gateway layer, whatever it is. And it's end up that Polly, she opens this specific email here in inbox. Once Polly click on the link, this specific link is starting to drop a document, and this document is actually weaponized with a kind of a malware that's running on the host itself. And it sounds as the next step what's happening after a specific period of time, 48 hours, this specific malware might have like a scheduled task being registered on Polly's host or machine. And after 48 hours, it sounds that this specific 0-day or a malware managed to bypass the EPP or the EDR solutions that's being installed in his box. We are sharing a scenario that might happen because no one 100% secure, right? So after 48 hours, what's happening? This scheduled task starting to execute and starting to see that once executing the specific malware on Polly's machine, it's found that during one of the settings, there is another interactive login account for a user. Her name is Adrian. And luckily for the attacker, that Adrian, his role is an IT help desk. So it sounds that this specific login account in Polly's machine or an Adrian do have an local admin privileges in order to provide support and help desk to multiple users and machines in his Contoso organization. So what's happening here is the attacker, once executing this malware based on a scheduled task that being registered on her Polly's machine, that Adrian's credentials has been stolen by this specific malware. So the attacker, he managed to compromise and harvest a IT help desk kind of an admin privileges for this specific organization. And then he's doing like a reconnaissance activity for the admin accounts. So he's trying to do some identity and behavior analytics suspicious activity inside the network and check what are the main other machines that Adrian local admin account he do have an access to. And then is doing like a PTH pass hash activities. So as you can see here highlighted or tagged that there is something might be alerted here. There is an event that a Polly, she clicked on a link that's coming from an email, and this link opened or dropped something into her host. And this something is actually to generate a kind of an alert. There is a weaponized kind of a document or a 0-day that's ended up by running something or a 0-day malware in her machine. And then I'm seeing there is a kind of another event that this specific event should trigger that someone is trying to do like credential storing or a theft by this specific kind of a backdoor or 0-day. And then this might generate a kind of an alert. And this alert, because there is a reconnaissance activity that's happening on the admin accounts, which is actually represents the Adrian account as an IT help desk in Contoso. And then triggered by an event that someone is doing over pass hash. And then what's happened? Adrian's as a privileged account local admin organizations being compromised. And then the attacker delivers this high privileged account identity in Contoso.com organization in order to do lateral movement. And during lateral movement activity across the entire network, he managed to find an account for Mike. And Mike, luckily, he's an Exchange admin user. So what I need to do? He's doing pass hash for Mike's as an Exchange admin because he wanted to do an exfiltration for the data across multiple users by forwarding rules to other mailboxes like Tracy as another user. And then exfiltrate Tracy's emails. So what you're seeing now here is it's not a single line of defense. that attackers are actually doing to penetrate. There is a complete SWIFT. There is a multiple entry points and workloads coming from an email, from an endpoint, from an identity, coming from any applications, cloud apps. And the key point is every single kind of an event or trigger, it might be created by a different solution from a different vendor. But the Microsoft 365 Defender here, that's covering Microsoft Defender for Office 365. You can see it here. Defender for endpoint for the endpoints. Defender for identity for your domain controls and ADs. And the cloud app security. All of this internal Defender stack, which are fully integrated and correlated, it do understand in the back end using the correlation concepts and the mapping. Here there should be a kind of an incident has been alerted. There is another incident that's being mapped to code execution kind of a techniques and tactics here. Another credential theft and privilege escalation, reconnaissance and lateral movement that's generating a set of an alerts inside this incident. And then there might be an exfiltration data happening across different solutions cloud app. So what's happening before? We are highlighting what we expect in terms of events as a telemetry signal and an alert as a suspicious activities happening there. And how the Microsoft 365 Defender is actually managing the back end to correlate and understand the events by generating alerts and then correlated the alerts to generating an incident and then look at this specific incidents in the organization and generating a high fidelity and multi-stage incident in your console. So if you go to the next step, what you're going to see is, yes, I have the entire kill chain. I'm taking this alert and correlating here from initial access to code executions. I'm seeing on the credential theft and reconnaissance activity that's happening, there is an escalation privileges, lateral movements, and going for doing a filtration. And then the last step, this will generate a high fidelity incident that's actually correlating and aggregating the events, the alerts coming from multiple workloads in my organization as a contoso.com and generate this high fidelity incident for us, leveraging an out of the box and automated set of playbooks. And that's how to have, we expect from a real technical XDR solution in our organization. So how it looks like to walk through you, and then I will show to you a live demo. So as you can see, Hisham is a kind of an analyst. He logged into the Microsoft 365 security console or a portal. As you can see here on the main screen, what I'm seeing they are showing to me a set of cards or gadgets, and you have the full option as an admin to customize it. I'm seeing what are the main active incidents based on the severity, how many incidents it has been unassigned, and we need to look at this specific incident to assign to our analyst or our team for investigation. Show me the action center. What are the main pending approval actions as an audit trail across different workloads? Whatever it's a users, devices, mailboxes, applications, etc. Show me more information about the latest outbreak adversaries and campaigns and how you can do automated assessment and mapping to our environment as contoso.com and starting to show us a detailed analysis from the Microsoft Intelligence and R&D team, in addition to a complete mitigation plan to avoid having such kind of vulnerabilities or adversaries or campaign might hit our organization. And on the left side, you will be able to see that you have the full option to see incidents, correlated queues, information hunting, endpoints, emails, etc. We'll go into details and I'll show it you live. And I can see here as an example is, if you're expecting an average of 1,000 encounters, which might be a suspicious or malicious encounter there, the analyst actually would go to the alerts queue in the Microsoft 365 Security Console. You can see I do have the full list of the queues, the alerts that has been triggered coming from this specific scenario or use case. And Microsoft 365 Defender is actually helped the team and the SOC organization for Contoso in order to reduce such kind of encounters or events from 1,000 to up like 300 alerts. But still having a 300 alerts is a kind of a big number for my analyst team, because I don't have like a dedicated army of people in my SOC. I might have like one or two, and how one or two analysts will be able to come and cover and investigate 300 alerts. But luckily what's happening is the correlation across the alerts to generated an incident that I explained to you in the previous slides. Microsoft 365 Defender will be able to correlate and generate a multi-stage incident. So I do have a high fidelity incident that correlated multiple alerts coming from the queue. And I showed you live how every single correlated incident showing the remediation status, what are the main categories that's covering different attack stage based to map to MITRE attack. Show me the impacted entities, whatever it's a host, machine, device, it's an identity, it's an applications, etc., or an email. And hence, Microsoft 365 Defender, it managed to correlate such kind of an alerts to high fidelity incidents and reduce it, as an example, the 300 alerts up to 40. But still what's happening, having a 40 incidents that might have multiple set of correlated alerts, it might be still a big number a little bit. So how the AIR capability, the automatic self-healing, which is running on automated playbooks in the back end of the Microsoft 365 Defender, will help the SOC team to reduce such kind of 40 incidents as an average to a 10 incident. So the SOC analyst will focus his time into high fidelity generated incidents up to a 10, initially started by having 1,000 encounter suspicious and malicious events and alerts coming to the system, and hence this will give him the best time to utilize and improve their efficiency. And as you can see here, what's happening, the analyst starting to dig deep to see what's exactly going under this automatic investigation incident. And you can see in the incident console, they are having a full details and mapping to MITRE attack tactics and categories in terms of techniques for the alerts. And you have a full super timeline event and telemetry showing in details what are the main activities and alerts that has been triggered from the use case that I shared with you. And then mapping this one to devices. I want to see what's happening across the devices, the identity for the users, the emails, show me the entire full automatic investigations. And most importantly, I wanted to get the evidence. What exactly happened and took place based on the automatic piece. I'm checking the scope because in my scenario, what's happening, I'm seeing there are 2 impacted devices in Contoso.com and 2 impacting users in terms of identity have been compromised. And 1 impacted mailbox, maybe the poly mailbox that has been used as a spear phishing to spread across the entire organization. And here when I go to the next step, I'm clicking on alerts. What we're seeing as an analyst, I'm seeing that these are the full list of alerts that has been consolidated into this multi-stage incident as a high fidelity. And we can see that, remember the case that's happening, that the attacker, he sends a spear phishing email to Polly, and once Polly, she opened her email, click on the link, and once she clicked on the link, it's starting to drop like a kind of a backdoor, and this backdoor as a 0-day started to execute and run some PowerShell scripts in order to download it. So here you'll be able to see even on the alerts queue, I have 25 alerts from such kind of a scenario that's being correlated and aggregated into a single multi-stage incident. If I'd like to click it here, I'll be able to see what are the main impacted entities. What is the main detection source, the underlying product coming from the Microsoft 365 Defender? Detections, activities, to whom it mean assigned. And once I click at one of the alerts, because I wanted to get full information about the alert story, show me the entire PowerShell suspicious command line that's targeting this specific user as a kind of an entry. I'll be able to go to what we're calling the alert story detail page. Checking here, here's a file, show me the PowerShell script, here's a special PowerShell script, show me the entire exact command that has been run and executed in order to drop such kind of a 0-day or malware. And show me the entire activities about registering this PowerShell that will drop a file as a malware that having registered a scheduled task on the machine of the victim in order to run it on a specific time after 48 hours. And then we're starting to click on it. At any time, analysts can see what exactly happening at the victim timeline events. They can create a suppress rule. They can actually link a specific alert to another incident, so they can add a correlation and linking by themselves. Or I can consult a threat expert using the Microsoft Threat Expert service in order to consult them, which is part from the MDR capability coming from a solution, in order to get more details, further information, investigation from the experts of the Microsoft 365 Defender team. Or you know what? The user, he click himself on the machine or device because I wanted to get more details about the device, about the host. And once I click on the host, which is representing one of the main underlying workloads, I having a full information and being correlated. Who are the main logged in users to this specific device? Show me the directory. Show me the information about it. Is it domain joined? Is it managed or unmanaged? Show me which operating system. I want to get more details. I can take an action to the host. I can quarantine a machine, restrict applications, run an AV scan, having a live session, or maybe I can click on Action Center because I wanted to see all of the previous history and audit trail activities that may be done on this specific device. I can see who created what action automatically using the AIR capability of the Microsoft 365 Defender took action, whatever it's on host, on a specific file, or even as you can see, even on the mailbox. Check exactly what is the status, what is the actions that has been taken, and by whom. And when I click on it and starting to investigate one of the investigation package for the PowerShell command line, I'm going to what we're calling the investigation graph, showing to you a full end-to-end investigation console and blade, having the alerts, having which kind of device, having which kind of entities and evidence, and the actions that has been taken automatically using the via the built-in out-of-the-box playbooks. And when I click on the machine here, I'm still be able to see that there is a set of risk, there is an exposure level, because remember, there is a full threat and vulnerability management engine is part from the Microsoft 365 Defender that's actually showing if this specific host or a machine is vulnerable, and vulnerable based on which kind of exposure rate. Is it high, medium, or low? And what are the main associated CVEs and vulnerability, and how I'll be able to remediate and take an action. But if I would like to get more details into one of the users, once I click on the user, on the Microsoft 365 Defender, I'm going to a full end-to-end what we're calling the user page or the identity unified page. I'm getting more information about everything for this workloads. Who is this user? What is working in my organization? This user have a sensitive account and sensitive data hosted in his host. More details about the directory and another timeline activities covering this specific identity in my organization. I can click on Go Hunt because I wanted to see what's exactly happened in my organizations from this mic, which is have a sensitive account or identity. This will go to a complete advanced hunting blade or a dashboard inside the Microsoft 365 Defender. And as you can see, once I click on Go Hunt, automatically it's generate a ready query for you. And at any time you can build your own detections or hunting query using what we're calling the Costa query language, KQL language we're using here for investigation and hunting. And as you can see that here, I'll be able to see the devices. At any time, I can create a detection rule to convert this one from a just one-time hunting query to be a frequency or a scheduled detection rule that can take an action based on your settings. And now what's happening here, I'm showing you on the left side the entire schema, because in Microsoft 365 Defender, that you will be able to see the entire alerts, identities, apps, information, devices, and emails, etc., covering all of these underlying products. And when I click on action and inspect it, I can take an actions to the identity, to the device, to the email layer across the stack, getting more information about the entry record for this identity. Here is a process tree. Show me the table. What is the timestamp? Which device? What is the action type that this user is successfully connecting to this host? Give me the device ID. Which kind of commands that successfully triggered this one? I want to take an action. Click on take action. Specify your actions that can be automated by you. In addition to, instead of just writing kind of detections or hunting rules, M365 Defender provide what we're calling the normalized functions or the parser. So imagine you can create your own as a SOC analyst team, a unified cross functions or a parser normalized data that's targeting different settings related to devices, emails, identity, cloud applications, everything in a one normalized function or a query. This can save a lot of time in terms of investigations and hunting and forensic activities. Last but not least, we here before going to the demo and show you live what I shared with you as a scenario. Threat analytics, which is one of the important and critical features in the Microsoft 365 Defender. So you can see here, Microsoft 365 Defender provide what we're calling threat analytics reports. Detailed reports about giving you what are the latest outbreak, adversaries, campaigns, and actually not just sharing with you information and mapping from our analysts and R&D team, but most importantly, that doing the mapping and assessment to your organization, showing you how many alerts were incidents, how many emails has been prevented against such kind of vulnerability or even adversary. Show me how many machines are exposed and vulnerable or assets or identity from this specific kind of an adversary. And show me the entire mitigation plan, what's needed to be done, what is the entire secure score recommendations across the entire assets that we need to consider it and to apply it before facing such kind of an alert in our organization. And quickly here, in order to show you live, because seeing is believing, here is the same scenario. I do have an attacker. I have someone send a kind of malicious email with an attachments to Barbara. Barbara starting to execute, click on the link, running a kind of malware or Mimikatz, and then expand to the network, targeting Eric as a help desk team, and then starting to go into Roberto, who is actually one of the global system admins, high privileges admins, for one of the domain controller, and then doing set of an exfiltration rule. So if I'd like to show you live how it works, here you go. Now I logged into my console to the Microsoft 365 Defender. I'm seeing all of the information about the secure score, providing a complete end-to-end representations of your organization security posture. So if you click on the secure score here, and let me refresh the session. Yeah, I kept it for a long time, so let me refresh it here. All right, give me a second here. I'll be able to sign it in order to show to you. So I'm just switching to the other tenant to show you how it works here completely. Give me a second. Here we go. I'm signing right now. I have MFA enabled. Right, sign in, looks good. Let me refresh it. Give me a second here. All right, let me take the link, go to the console. There we go. All right, let me go here. All right, so now allow me to share my screen. And I guess you will be able to see it. Perfect. So once I sign into Microsoft 365 Defender security portal, what I'm gonna expect it here, I will be able to see all of the details and information once it's starting to load in my tenant. So you can see here, I'll be able to click on secure score, and this will provide you a complete representation of the entire organization security postures. What my security score that's happening here? What are the main items that I need to take it actions in terms of identity, device, applications? What are the area of improvements that we need to cover? Here is telling me, you know what? We're seeing that there are a lot of Office macros that's happening, and this, like the case that I showed to you, someone, he click on the link, he opened the link, it's dropped like a kind of a document, and this documents that have like a kind of a malware or 0-day. It's coming from the Office macros or VB. How will be able to have a policy to prevent it from the first time of place? So remember that we do have the prevention and protect capabilities as a built-in. It's not just a kind of a post detections and remediation. That's coming out of the box natively from the M365 Defender. So I'm going here, click on any kind of a rules. As you can see in Microsoft 365 Defender, I can manage, I can take an action, I can see the associated events. And when I go back, I wanted to look exactly at what's happening in terms of the rules. So if I click on the Microsoft 365 security, click on the incidents and alerts, and click on the incident itself. And what we expect to see here, we expect to see the multi-stage attack, if you remember about it. So here is what's exactly going on. If I open one of the settings, I will be able to see there is a correlated incident that have multiple alerts. And every kind of an alert, I'm seeing the tags. This has been remediation, the status, what's happening based on the correlation. Show me the severity. Show me the how many automated investigation state. What are the main categories? I have initial access, executions, lateral movement, persistence, and exfiltration, etc. How many devices has been impacted and users and kind of an emails? Show me the alert and show me the detection source. So when you're starting to open any of the alerts or even the incidents, you will click on the node, you will get high information. There is a multi-stage access. Here is the incident details. Show me the categories, information, how many impacted alias, how many users have been impacted, show me the correlated alerts and more. When I open the incident page, I will go to the one incident detailed view, showing to us these are all of the alerts that has been mapped to MITRE ATT&CK based on the tactics and categories. If you scroll down, you get to use the entire information about the case. What exactly happened? And once you click on every single event or a timeline, you will be able to see what are the information. Here is a suspicious PowerShell. Give me all of the information about the specific alert. Show me the recommendations that we recommended from Microsoft 365 Defender int. Show me any kind of an automated investigation actions that has been triggered. How many linked incidents? Show me more further information about it. At any time for any specific alert, I can get more details about the alert. I can see the exact alert in the specific host timeline. I can link it, or even I can assign it to an analyst or even consult a Microsoft threat expert coming from the MDR service. And now I'm clicking into the alerts and be able to see all of the correlated alerts into this high fidelity incident. As you can see here, here is a suspicious PowerShell script. If I expand it, I'll be able to see exactly what's happening. How many even devices and entities that might be correlated into this incident. How many users, if there is any mailboxes and email was showing. And most importantly, what we're calling the investigation, the graph. So the one which is dropping someone click on the link, open a document, this document have a malware, this creating a scheduled task, in order to maintain the footprint persistent to execute after 48 hours. As you can see, you have the full investigation graph showing to you how many kind of devices, what are the main entities that has been analyzed from a devices, from an email, from an identity, from an evidence, and show me the entire entities that's done and the entire logs as an evidence for us. And most importantly, what you can see it here, when you go back to your incident, I'm able to see what are the main users, investigations, evidence, and response actions across the entire incident. So right now what's happening, I can go to even to any device, and when I go to any of the machines, I can take a response action at any time. I can be able to quarantine, isolate a machine from the network. I can run the AV scan using the Defender. I can have a live session and response to see exactly running a set of commands, what's happening at real time. I can create another automated investigation, consult an experts and see what's happening on this endpoint. The same that's going beyond the endpoints and devices. I can go to the users and identity and see exactly what's happening with this specific user. These are the users that have investigation priority. So we are going to the unified identity page. So what I showed to you on the walkthrough is actually have the full capability showing you live into your Microsoft 365 security console. Show me here is a user, what his role, what his title. This user is an identity risk high. What is the priority and investigation priority for this user? Show me the entire timeline activities covering to this identity. I can get more details about it. I can see exactly if this user owns sensitive data and files on his machines. And what I can do, once having a high fidelity incidents, I'm checking the status, the remediation, the automation piece that's happening automatically. I can get the full details about the entire audit logs. What's happened, what actions has been taken using the automatic investigations and manual across the entire M365 security stack. I have the security score and I have the threat analytics, which will show to us as a SOC team, the latest adversaries, the APT campaigns, target attacks, outbreaks, and most importantly, as you can see it here, how we do in our organization against such kind of vulnerabilities or adversaries. So I can click on anyone, like here is the one related to the CapCut ransomware. I click on this specific kind of a threat analytics. I'm getting an entire overview in my organization. how many related incidents, how many related emails attempts that's happening based on this specific adversary. Show me the details. Is there any impacting assets in my organization? Is there any variable devices? Is there how many machines they might be misconfigured in terms of a policies or settings and need to be adapted? I get the full intel analysis from analyst report for every single kind of a threat analytics items. Get the full mapping to MITRE ATT&CK, our analysis view, exposures, which industries, which vertical. Here's the entire kill chain attack, and then showing you complete analysis in terms of the kill chain. And most importantly here, we are providing our threat analytics in Microsoft 365 Defender, providing as well, in addition to the MITRE ATT&CK techniques and categories, the full mitigation plan in addition to a ready advanced hunting query that you can just run this query to have a peace of mind if you're actually exposed or vulnerable to such kind of vulnerability. Show me how many impacted assets, how many preventions that's happening in terms of the assets, devices, or even emails or identity, and show me the entire mitigations plan. We need to configure such kind of policies. Here is a list of CVEs and vulnerability targeting this specific kind of an adversary, and how we'll be able to click on item, take an actions in order to mitigate. That was, if I go back to my slides and presentation here, that was a detailed and a quick view about the Microsoft 365 Defender. What is the concept of an XDR? How Microsoft 365 Defender as an integrated security platform can help you to cover the entire cycle and the kill chain. How it will save your SOC analyst time. Imagine having a team of 1 analyst or 2 analysts, not an army of people. Such kind of intelligence and platforms that's correlating in the back end will help you saving a lot of time. You don't need to have like a lot of knowledge and experts about covering all of the playbooks, the automations around books, because all of this AI and ML capabilities is packed by the solutions, is running on the back end, having a full integrated signal and synergy across the entire stack. And with that, we highly recommend you to check the Microsoft 365 Defender and XDR with security@microsoft.com. You can be able to access a link, and you can go to aka.ms ms365d Defender in order to get more details and information about M365 Defender. With that, thank you. I know that we might be on time, but I will look at the chatting window in terms of if you have any questions, we're more than happy to answer or clarify it.
All right, thank you, Hisham, for today's session. Yeah, in fact, we had a few questions which I responded to. For example, is this session recorded? Yes, all this series is recorded and will be available on YouTube. So after this session, we will have it there. Some requested some of the presentation material that you have shared there. I'll try to get that from you and see the best way we can share it with the community members. But make sure everyone who's watching us live today or joining us later on the recorded sessions on demand to check the description on YouTube. We usually put a lot of resources there. There's one Learn module which Hisham recommended for you all to follow and continue the journey with. It's on defending against threats with Microsoft Threat Protection. So you can find this link in the Q&A tab. I shared that. All right, I believe we don't have more questions. I would highly encourage everyone to not miss the remaining 3 parts of this 4-part series. There is a link for the landing page that includes all the information about the security series. I highly encourage you to sign up for the remaining 3 sessions, and also to leave us feedback on the Reactor survey. So this is for you to send us all the topics that you would love to see at the Reactor. And we have also included lots of your feedback in our programming. So please spend a minute to send us your feedback. And also there is a newsletter that is sent once a month. We understand that you're getting lots of notifications on Meetup, so we curated this one newsletter where you can find all the interesting sessions happening across the reactors, and you can sign up to multiple locations now that we're doing all these sessions online. You're not limited to just one location. You can be part of the different Meetup communities and benefit from all these learning opportunities. So I highly also encourage you to share all these learning opportunities with your networks. And thank you, Hisham, again. It was wonderful to have you here, and we're so excited to have you across this month to take us through this journey, learning more about security and how we can protect our organizations from different threats.
Thanks, Hussam, and thanks to everyone who joined us today.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And don't miss next week's session. It's going to be at 2 p.m. Local time, Abu Dhabi time. Thank you, and have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.